January 7th, Warren Select Board meeting. Any public comment?
It's really cold.
It is really cold. Tomorrow is going to be single digits all day. Agenda changes?
Did you want to acknowledge resignation?
Oops.
Oh, yes. So yeah, thank you. Michelle Ide has stepped down from her position. Was she formerly treasurer of the Cemetery Commission? Over 30 years of experience, service. Yeah, that is
It's impressive.
It's a
very
loss.
impressive. It's a huge loss.
Yeah.
And she has done a lot for the town. Has always been very even and just an excellent resource anytime she's contacted. So
She will be
She
greatly
will be missed.
appreciate all of her service.
yes. And do we want to talk? We should probably add that to agenda changes because Michelle had proposed Dana take over or take on some of the.
Yeah, we have some thoughts about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we'll
Yeah.
add that Dana Cemetery. Any other additions?
7.
For the
Meeting?
agenda changes.
Yeah.
Just our meeting schedule going forward. Just Haley
Yes.
had a question about that.
Yep.
Do we want to touch on the
I was
town
gonna-
garage
I was gonna
meeting?
put all of that in
Together?
there with the
Okay.
meeting
Scheduling.
yeah.
Yeah.
Scheduling our meetings. Anything else? No? Okay. Ruth, we can go right into your budget.
Okay, we had a few things to clear up. And
Are you muted, Ruth?
uh,
No?
I didn't think
Are
so.
we?
Do we need to turn up the TV line?
Yeah, it should come out here. That's good. Ruth Key, we can't hear you.
Really? I'm sorry. I wonder why not.
You
This
can hear
doesn't
us
typically-
though?
I can hear you
Okay.
guys.
I
Yes.
would unplug the owl and maybe plug it back in,
A second ago.
or hit the power button on the side of it.
Test speakers and microphone. Huh. Oh. Can you hear me now? Please hold.
Now we lost Ruth entirely.
There she is.
Oh, there she is. All right, we fixed it.
We hear you.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
We hear
Yes.
you now.
Can you hear me
Oh,
now?
okay. All right, good. Because I went to get my external speakers thinking that might help. Okay, I started to say we just had a few loose ends we needed to clear up from our last meeting, primarily the zoning and planning clerk. And I've had a couple conversations with Julie and I've had some conversations with Rebecca. And right now, Julie is committed to 20 hours with the listers and was assuming she'd probably be 10 for this coming year. And I have budgeted for 15. I had a conversation with her and with Rebecca talking about maybe, 10 and 20 equals 30, splitting it 15, 15. It's both, in my opinion, both offices do not have a consistent busyness day to day necessarily. You know, there are peaks and valleys, there are ups and downs. It's not like Julie is needed every single day for me, and at some point, she's going to find that possibly with the listers. So I'm not quite sure what to do here, because when I mentioned to her 15-15, all of a sudden it occurred to me that she makes more per hour with the listers than she does with what my hourly rate is. So I'd be taking money away from her by pushing the envelope, so to speak. So I'm not quite sure what you all would like me to do, because she's valuable. It has become very apparent that there is a very strong connection between the lister's office and our office, with a lot of overlap of material and knowing what's going on. And as I said, in talking to Rebecca, she said, put in the 15 hours and let's just see what we can come up with. And so that's what I did. So that's why that number is higher. I did that based on, and then the other part of that number is the 85 hours this past year that Carol had. And I just kept it at 85 as far as doing the PC and the DRB minutes. Now that may come down some this coming year, potentially, if things, as we may anticipate, there will be more things that I will be doing versus the DRB that would not require minutes. Obviously, there would be documentation that I would be responsible for on a particular situation, but so that might be somewhat of an offset. I don't know.
Ruth, separate from any other concerns, how many hours do you need from Julie or want for that position?
She averaged a little over 7, like 7.5 on average last year. I could have used her more if she'd been here. I've talked to her about, let's try to get in a consistent, I've allowed her to be really flexible, because she's one of those Vermonters that does 2 or 3 things at any given time. But I said, okay, if you're going to be working in the lister's office and in my office, let's see if we can't designate certain days, morning or afternoons or both or whatever, that I have your time, so that I know. I do leave things for her, and lots of times I come in and the little early morning elf has been there and she's taken care of it. But that's not the same as having her there and learning and understand more things. I can shoot emails to her and she'll take care of things. But I'd like to have a little more consistency, and I'm going to continue to talk to her about that.
Okay, and what do you think?
But I didn't get the actual 10 last year, but I think going forward, especially since I know Camilla has said more than once that she wants to make sure that I'm supported with the changes in the looters, because there will be more stuff that I'll do that was done by the DRB, assuming those sorts of things come my way, which I think they may. I'd at least bump her up to 12 hours instead of 10. If you do 15, that's 35 hours total for her here in the town. Whether those 20 hours per week in the lister's office is going to maintain itself, I don't know. And I have not had a conversation with Sandra about it.
May I ask a question?
Please.
Ruth, you've said that you talked to Julie a number of times, but I haven't heard you communicate her response.
The only response was her sharing with me that she had 20 hours with the listers and what the hourly rate was, which is more than what the hourly rate is for my office.
So when you
And
asked if she would be
also, pardon?
When you asked if she would be willing to work more hours for you, did she respond to that?
I don't think I think she's comfortable with the 10, maybe 12. I did not get a true commitment. There have been,
go ahead.
There have been times that, if I've got an appointment to do a site visit for, say, a certificate of compliance or a potential violation or something, she always manages, unless she really has something committed she can't change, She always comes in and comes with me. So she's good at spot things with me. But I will have a further conversation with her. And,
I think
and see how she,
I think for purposes of the budget, we just need to determine what you need for a resource. Julie's a great option. So it'd be great if that works out, but I think that we need to work backwards from the workload. And if Julie can do 10 and you need 2 more or 5 more, then we'll have to figure that out separately.
Yeah, I would agree.
so
with you.
leave it at 10. And then if I really get into a jam of some sort, which I don't anticipate, but one never knows.
No,
Uh,
I think, or
Budget the 15 that you
budget
think
what you
need.
think you need.
Right, and then we have to figure out how to meet that.
Right.
But this is a budget conversation, so we're really only talking about what do you need, and then we have to figure out how to meet that need.
Can I interject? If
Sure.
she goes over, if Julie goes over 30,
30.
We do have
Right,
benefits.
right,
So
right,
that's-
a different number.
Yeah, it's retirement, it's everything like that.
Yeah.
So that's another option. So when I spoke to VLCT and Beamer's a number of years ago, because this did come up on somebody else, we needed to, it doesn't always make it simple with an audit trail if there's 2 different departments. It could work.
All right,
It's not always
more complicated.
advisable. You see me, zoning and listers could have 2 separate departments with the hours, but
But they'd be combined
For
really
total
hard,
hours,
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not always good on an audit.
The best way is to combine the hours.
No.
What, tell
No.
me what,
Best way would
The
be.
best way is not to go over 30 hours.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Rebecca, do you recall how many hours on average you got done when you worked with me?
Pretty consistently 12 to 15,
Okay.
pretty consistently 12.
It was just, there was a lot of time that the 2 of us weren't together, but that's okay. I mean, that was really more towards the end than it was in the beginning, so.
Yeah.
It sounds like the assistant position may need to be filled out with someone other than just Julie.
Yeah.
Sounds like.
And
Yeah.
then we should budget 15 hours so that we're safe in the event that the leaders require that much more work.
Yep,
That would be my,
I agree.
So budget, what's the number?
I think that is
I
15.
think that
isn't
is
it? Yeah.
15.
That is the 15.
And this is the
21,000
planning and
is
zoning.
15.
clerk.
And Carol's at 85
That's
hours.
this one.
And Carol, that's Carol and Julie combined.
Correct.
And you
And
have
as,
Carol's, split between the PC and the zoning?
Yes.
I
No.
have it, no, I have both. I do have those numbers. I don't have them with me. I thought I did, but I don't. I left them at the office.
I'm
But
sorry.
her total hours for both of those, for the PC and for the DRB, total hours for 2024 was 85. And I anticipate that the number of meetings with the PC is going to be pretty much the same. There's always some, ups and downs with the DRB, because they're as needed and not on a regular basis.
What I was asking with Carol's hours, with Carol's pay, is the 85 split between zoning and PC, or does that show up only on one line item? You know what I mean?
It only
Is it
shows
all
up
in
in
these
zoning
on-
and planning
yeah.
clerk.
Yeah, it shows up under planning commission budget.
Correct.
Not
Planning
zoning.
commission
Okay.
under zoning and
Oh,
planning.
yeah, I see what you're asking, Luke. No, it's under, yeah,
All the salary for Julie
Yeah.
and Carol.
Okay,
For the
Correct.
assistant. Yeah.
got it. Thank you.
and other than that, you wanted to know, and we did put in here somewhere what we had gotten in fees.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And I don't see that on this sheet, but I do have it over here, I think.
It says
on this one.
actual
Yeah.
is 29,532.
Yep, okay. And I put in 32 as a goal.
Yep.
Yeah,
And at some point, when the new looters come around, I'd like to review the fees and see what you guys think.
Sure,
Mhm.
that seems,
Agreed.
So that may affect what we get or
Yeah.
not, one way or the other, depending on what we all decide. Mainly you decide. I just do them, collect them.
Why did the salary go down to 2.47?
Well, we're gonna talk about that
Okay.
when we talk at the end of the meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
okay.
The other note I had under PC zoning was get estimate on legal. Was that, does anybody remember why we were,
For the kids,
The looters review.
right, but I guess I'm asking, those were my notes from last time. Has it changed and did we get that?
I have not heard back from Nick.
Oh, is that,
Mhm.
okay,
Yeah, I didn't have it on my list, Camilla.
okay. Legal expenses, we have 1,000, we have basically $2,000. Well, there's legal contingencies. So we always have that in there, right? And then legal expenses would be more planned. We only have $1,000. Does that seem reasonable?
Well,
um,
I know that there's been an encouragement to use VLCT whenever possible.
Right.
And I think that with that being the case, unless we really feel that we're not getting the answer, not that we want, but the answer that we feel should probably have a second opinion, shall we say? That's when I see it possibly happening and going to Nick. And obviously I wouldn't do that without checking with you guys.
Well, it seems like we have enough in here for the usual set of situations, but what we wanted was to know what we thought we might spend having the looters reviewed. Do we know what his
We
hourly?
put that in here.
yeah,
We put that in here.
I don't think,
Well-
Under town plan zoning and updates.
That's Sharon, but I don't think
we don't have a
Included
firm
the
number
legal
from
on
Nick
that.
or from any attorney, so we need that.
Oh, that's right. That was another reason, yeah,
Mhm.
that we wanted Nick. So we may want something more than 15, but that can go under legal.
250 pages, I have no idea. We didn't,
Does that sound
Dan
right?
thought maybe 375.
I think it's something like that.
shit.
I mean, how many, yeah, how many
Um,
hours? did
I
it
don't
take
know.
us to have the-
It could be 2, it could be 30. I have
I will
no,
poke him again tomorrow, because there's 3 things that I'm waiting to hear back from him.
Okay.
So,
so
yeah.
we'll just make a note of that. We're still. looking
Yeah,
at that
we can
one.
That
agree
feels like it's
sometime to
gonna
adjust
be a
that.
heavy bill if he's gonna actually read it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have paralegal readers or something.
Ruth, anything else?
Right, and that would be.
No, I think everything else is the same or equal to what was spent thereabouts for this
Okay.
past year. I tried to be conservative, but also trying to do a little bit of, just in case.
Looks good.
Yeah, it looks great. Any questions
Okay.
on this board?
No,
All right. Thank you, Ruth.
thank you, Ruth.
Well, thank you.
Rebecca, before I forget, what's the drop dead date for the budget for the booklet
I'll have to look for it,
this month, though?
the end of this month, I think.
That was the 25th.
27.
I was gonna say the
26, something like
25th or the
that.
27th. 27th is a Monday.
27th is Monday.
Okay.
Mhm.
So in that case, we have to,
Get town reports in.
Yep.
Okay. All righty. Thanks, guys.
thanks, Ruth.
Thank you.
Jeff, violation enforcement. We talked for just a minute about what you were hoping to do, but maybe you can run us through it.
So I know this has been brought up in the past. There are 3 main ordinances that I can think of that involve the fire department. It's the wood fuel ordinance, the fire alarm ordinance, and the E911 ordinance. As of right now, the fire department cannot technically write any violations. We can send letters, but I hate to say it, they're kind of empty promises. So the fire department would like to be able to have the authority to issue violations if we so choose. right now, the only people that can do it is the health officer, the dog warden, and zoning.
In those ordinances, do we have fee structure for violations?
Yes.
Okay, so then
And we do have, we have zoning violations, which we could put it under if you chose to.
However,
Where would you see those fees going? Those violation fees?
I'd just like to be able to, you know, be able to enforce it and figure, I mean, I know probably figuring out later isn't the answer, but it's just the ability to issue a violation if we have to, because we've had a couple
yeah,
recent incidences that have provoked us to get brought up again.
Yeah, we've been talking about it forever.
yeah,
So right now, you said you could write a letter, it's just not a violation letter?
Correct, I can
It's
write
like
a letter saying that you are in violation or you are soon to be in violation, but I can't necessarily issue a violation.
okay,
Would you enforce it and?
The fire department would enforce it
Okay.
because it's.
They'd send their enforcers over.
big, strong, strapping lads.
And
to
that,
collect.
Calendar boys, right.
what do we need to do though
We
to
call
be
it.
able to, like, I think we can all say, sure, yeah, that's great, but then something has to happen
So,
to actually make.
As far as I know, the
fee
select board
structure
has to
or
give
whatever.
the approval to be able to issue violations.
Right,
Now, I don't remember I don't know how long the dog warden has been able to issue violations. So I don't know if it's a way to go back and find out how that was done.
I think,
Yeah.
I think we can solve that
Yeah.
problem through VLCT. I think it's a matter of amending those 3 ordinances and within them stating that the fire department has enforcement rights and that they draw their power from such and such an article, et cetera. So I think it's an amendment to those ordinances that would give them the right to do that,
Yeah, let's start with BLCT.
based on
and
what
see
we had
Yeah.
heard.
Yeah.
That's my cursory understanding.
And when we follow up, could someone ask where there might be a requirement as to where the money goes. It might have to
Right.
go to the general
I
fund.
think it probably
It
does.
does.
I'd
That would make
I'd
sense.
really like to see us not just
So
figure out
sure.
how to do this, or, you know, how to make it legal, but actually have a whole process
Yeah.
for it. Cause if we
Right.
don't have it all spelled
agree.
out,
And
it's,
collections.
I mean,
It's
how
just
is
gonna
it
be a
done now
frickin'
in
nightmare.
zoning violations?
I don't think we collect
It's just
any
not-
I've never. collected
violation
those.
fees.
Okay.
That's why.
maybe there's
Yeah.
no process for it.
And we don't
The only-
really, we
the
don't
only
have
time
a
I've done
culture
it
of
is dog
enforcement in
fighting.
that capacity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a bag of money somewhere.
Doubt it, but maybe.
If
No,
it is,
but-
it's in undeposited checks.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really, we've talked about that so many times that we don't really do that through the zoning.
We don't
administrator.
seek to-
We don't
Generate revenue through violations.
violations.
I think there's a difference between seeking revenue and actually having a process for it when you do.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Using it as a means to get someone to comply.
Right,
Is
right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean,
so-
we've had one specific location that we've been to 3 times in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And they say they're getting it fixed, but
Right.
we'll see. I'll let you know
Airbnb?
next week. If we have one next week, that will make 4 in 4 weeks.
Is it different people each time or Airbnb or no?
Nope, same address.
Is it a,
No, but I
an
mean,
alarm? Is it, what is it?
It's an alarm. Without saying it out.
Mhm.
Yep,
I'd rather
that's fine.
not.
I was just curious.
Sure.
You know, I know we've had issues with the pitcher in over the years. Things have gotten better there. So that makes, they have gotten a lot better. They also are, what we're asking them to do, they're actually doing, and usually doing it in a timely manner. So that's gone a lot better. I mean, that was more just verbal to
Yep.
them saying, listen. And when Tracy was here, she did a good job with it. Mark, the Mark's the property manager, however you want to phrase it. He's done a lot to knows that because they lose money when their alarm goes off, so.
They do.
But,
Mhm.
so that's gotten better. So it's just, the hope is that sometimes maybe a letter will do it, and sometimes that letter gets mailed and goes in the circular file. So.
Yeah, if we have it in an ordinance that we can collect fees that might do that, we should be able to complete that process.
I know that Ruth keeps track of the the wood burning ordinance, which requires,
Registration.
right, well, no, it requires the, biannual, no, not biannual. Every 2 year
yeah,
class 2
inspection,
inspection
right.
of a chimney or a wood burning fireplace.
Yeah.
And there are some property managers that are good about it, and then there are some who don't even bother to send anything in, and then there are those who just don't even do it. The state requires a level 1 every year technically.
For
We require-
anyone with a wood burning fireplace?
So is
If
that
it's
followed
if it's in
up?
a,
Commercial.
if it's in a
Commercial property.
commercial
Or
or
rental,
public
yeah.
building.
Are they followed up? Is that
Yeah,
followed up?
second. So are you saying that the fire department would now take over that kind of?
I mean, I think some of it is education.
Yeah.
And we are working on letters to send out to property managers saying, just so you're aware,
Reminder.
here are
of
the
these
ordinances, and this is what's expected, and this is where it needs to go. And then there are, it's like 911 addresses. We try to tell people, if we go to a house that we can't, when you're shining a spotlight into somebody's house at 2 o'clock in the morning, some people don't notice it and some people do. Don't tell your neighbors to put a 911 address up and we won't have this issue. So in our defense, RK Miles, when it comes to a new house, RK Miles will not deliver to an address that does not have a 911 address. They are strict about it. So they're helping us to get people to put up 911 addresses that are visible. So that helps in that aspect. And the fire alarms, a lot of times it's all malfunctions, really. I mean, some of it is the alarm system and how the alarm system is set up. And we're working with the state fire marshals on some of those. So that will hopefully help, but it's just for the problem children that.
Yeah.
That
makes sense.
So who's gonna initiate the amendments of the
Yeah.
ordinance?
That was my question.
Well, let's start with, do we need it? Let's start with, I would say let's
We
start
have
with
to-
VLCT and see what we need to do.
Yeah, we're gonna have to add a clause in those ordinances. And then I wonder if it'll be like the fire department or if it'll be the fire chief.
So I'll
And
look,
assist-
yeah, I almost think that it says that who will issue that violation.
Let's get the,
Mhm.
what we need from VLCT and then we can draft, because it's probably the same sentence for every single ordinance.
Mhm.
And then we can adopt them. Amend them,
Do
whatever.
those ordinances then have to be warned again, or? is it
Amended.
just
Good
amended?
question.
Yeah,
Probably.
Do we know that the ordinance doesn't?
We don't know, Jeff
we
said
don't
he's
know.
gonna check.
Let's,
Okay,
Yeah.
we should check the ordinances first and then,
Right,
I can send you guys the 3 ordinances. Because I just pulled them up
can just
upstairs.
look at them on
so
the website, yeah.
Yeah.
One of them could stand to be,
So what I'm reading
Redone.
here is we also, there are certain things that can be regulated and certain things that can't. So there is an et cetera on here, but fire calls and alarms and things like that are not on this list. So we may have to get some further information from these.
because I know other towns do it, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can try to find out from them, I can try to talk to Stowe about it.
Great.
Cause I know they've done it, I mean, their ordinance one ordinance was written in 2015, you two were both here. One in 2018, you both were here, and then there was one from 98 or 89, I can't remember which it was. Bob Messner was the chairperson then. And Brian Kingsbury was on the select board.
What? Wow, that
So,
goes back.
there you go, that one is the 911 ordinance.
Yeah, that's gotta be the 911, because I
Yeah.
was part of the wood burning and the alarm
Yeah.
from the PC.
Mm.
11204. That's
Okay.
the street naming and street addressing ordinance, is that?
That might have been when it was entered, but I think when I looked at the sign, when it was in the 1990s or 1980s.
At any rate.
Either
it
way,
ain't right, so
Probably the 90s, that's when all of.
Rebecca, you'll head up that.
Yeah.
Project, thank you.
Why don't you get
Thanks,
a
Jeff.
copy, if Stowe has an ordinance
Yeah.
that they're,
I do.
that they're using, why don't you get a copy of that and see how they go about it, because that's all we're doing by going to the LCT.
yep, yep. I'll do that. Yep. Good.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
The fire, alarm, sorry, the solid fuel burning ordinance says violation or failures to comply, civil enforcement. but it doesn't have the language that we were shown as far as citing who can write those violations and where they draw their power.
Okay. We'll have to clean those up.
Yep.
Okay, are we waiting for anybody else from the?
No, Alicia and Bob and Sean are not gonna be able to make it.
Okay, so we can,
Recommending Warren recommended.
we can start whenever you're ready.
Cool. So you guys have asked us to put a budget together, get some estimates for work done. This coming year, 25, we were hoping to get bollards fixed. We were looking at the lights at the softball field, and we're looking at some site work, in a couple areas. One was between, stuff we started this past year between the tennis court and the skate park. Emailed Rebecca a few estimates. We had one from Evan Fair and then one from Standard Construction. Evan never got an estimate over for moving the fencing, and then Chris Griffin did put an estimate together. It was informal, just he called Alicia back and was like, hey, I think I could do all that site work for like $4 to $5 grand. So that would be moving the fencing around the old Little League field and, stumping and leveling the area between the basketball court and the tennis court. So that is our lowest estimate so far, was the one from Chris Griffin. Again, it's just, a phone call, but that was his number. So that covers site work. So we're looking, on the other estimates, Evans, I think was what, 3,100 just for clearing the area between the tennis court and the skate park. Standard, my brother Jeff came in at 28 and change, I think, for clearing the land, another almost, another two something, almost $3 grand for moving the fencing. So Chris is definitely our most fiscally responsible option there, but we don't have an official quote estimate from him or anything, but $5 grand for all that site work probably be the ticket. And then I was also trying to get estimates on the bollards. That led me on a little bit of wild goose chase. I did finally get you an email. He got it to me maybe half an hour ago. It's from FD Park
Okay,
fencing company, and this is based off of my account. This was my personal opinion that there's definitely like at least 20 or so bollards up there that are rotting. They're either posted up with other stuff sistered onto them, or they're not there. I was counting, my count was about 100 that I thought should be replaced or maybe soon need to be replaced, but that was, again, that's my opinion. I'm not professional, I'm not calling the shots up there. I wanted a second opinion on that. If anyone had time, I was just walking by and pushing them and kicking them. Some of them were cracking, I was also looking at the bollards around the septic tank and the ones around the solar panels, just for consideration, long term. You probably are looking at that email now. He was saying it would be $6,000 to remove and replace the first 100 bollards, and it would be $55 per bollard after that.
Sorry,
Sure.
will you just say that again?
It's $6,000 for the first 100, and then 55 a piece after that. I'm sure we can get an adjusted number and be like, hey, these are the ones we're actually going to mark and replace and go from there. But like that was, my personal, like, okay, these are, I'm seeing they're in similar condition to ones that are cracked or gone, similar age. So that's where I made my judgment for the 100. We were looking at the lights at the softball field. Dana was kind enough to get those figures to us. It's only $16 a month to run those lights. So at the cost of $15,000 to replace the lights at the softball field, we decided we're not gonna, that's not something we want to push for. Probably good old sodium or whatever lights, they run just about forever for $15 a month. I think you were saying that we're leasing them technically too. So, and then we weren't able to get a hold of Kevin Collins. I got calls out to him, waiting to hear back.
Wait, so if we're leasing them, will they repair them? There's no.
No, it's like the street lights here. I can call. I never even thought about that.
Cause I know Alicia
Just
wanted to
curious.
get
We can't
one.
put them on the solar. They do not go within the solar
Payment.
allotment.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I know that she wanted to get the lights adjusted. So that I think was part of her $2,000 estimate she got, was back in, God, it was in October, November 23 when we first came to you guys.
I can
So,
call Green Mountain Power and West.
yeah, and then, So we weren't able to get any numbers from anybody. We've got calls out, we'll get estimates to you as we can, just for adjustment of the lights, and also figuring out why those couple, I think it was 2 or 3, she said this spring, weren't working at the beginning of the season, and then started to kick in later on in the year. So that's my concern with that, the adjustment. I guess, let's make the people happy. That's what we're here to do. So, that was $2,000 2 years ago. We still need to get a hard number for that, unfortunately.
I have to call Kevin tomorrow, so I can just ask him if he,
That'd be awesome.
if he got your message. Who, was it you that called him? Alicia called him?
Reach
Okay.
out to him,
Okay.
yeah. That'd be
Right.
great.
Yep, I'll ask him.
And just to see, at least what we're gonna do to adjust them and or hopefully Alicia can remember which ones weren't working, so we can try to diagnose from there.
But if we're leasing those lights,
Yeah,
I'm
we
pretty
should find out
sure
from Green
GMP is
Mountain
gonna
Power.
require that they fix and or adjust anything.
Okay,
They
cool.
probably don't want us to touch them.
And this is,
Kevin
and
would
then
know.
coming from
Yeah.
Bob, in his conversations with Green Mountain Power about the LED lights, he said that as far as Green Mountain Power is concerned, in that conversation, the town owns those lights at the softball field. He wasn't aware of us, the town leasing them, so
Okay.
we're gonna figure out ownership and go from there.
But we'll call them tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just know that we can't get them under the solar agreement because it's just like the streetlights in
Mhm.
town. They don't,
They're on the power poles, right? Yeah,
but it's a different, it's like the streetlights,
it's like the streetlights. They own them, yeah.
so. It's a quick phone call probably.
Okay. So as far as our ask for a budget this coming year, I think we need to really address what bollards we truly need to replace. I don't think we need to necessarily go full bore with the 100 right now. Again, that was just kind of my personal take on it, but we probably cut that back to get it to fit within our budget. We're looking at hopefully spending 5,000 on some site work, probably a couple grand for softball lights. So if we were to ask for 10, that would leave us somewhere in the realm of 3 for replacing bollards, which I think is a reasonable amount of work to get done this year. Within that budget, hopefully we can cut that back some bit and, maybe get some more done or have it back in the coffers. Some other work that we have been able to fund for this coming year is moving that blue shed and giving it a rehab to get it over to the softball field. Because they have more need to store stuff in there. They're using more than we do at the skate park. So we got a grant from the Metro Valley Rec District to breathe more life into that. Still dry, it's good old hemlock frame. It's got good pressure treated skids underneath. So we're gonna plan on getting that moved. And
That won't cost, that's not in your budget.
no, and that's not, we're not at, we're just like, hey, we're gonna do this.
Yep, yep.
With your guys' approval. So
Sorry, Pierre, the
Yes.
2K for lights.
that was an estimate that Alicia had gotten for like adjusting the lights, and this is back in 23. So
But we're still talking about the lights that are on the power poles.
softball. So those are-
Different. These
yeah,
are
those
different
on their
lights.
own poles.
Okay.
I don't know, there might be a street light or 2 up in the parking lot at the school,
Mhm.
but there's none running down the road, which I don't really see a need for
Mhm.
at this point in time.
Okay, so the 2K for that is still stands.
Softball,
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
So I believe that still stands, and that number quite possibly will go up if, once we find some answers to ownership and all that, or down, I don't know. So need for ownership of the lights. So yeah, I'm gonna say that our ask for our budget for this coming fiscal year is $10,000.
Okay.
Um,
So same as last year.
Yeah.
Ask.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we discussed that being a special article?
No, we
No, that was
Lights.
if they wanted to
for
pursue
LED
the
lights,
lights.
Oh, that was
we
for
don't
the
wanna
lights?
pursue
Okay.
that. That's not, doesn't make any sense.
Okay.
Okay, I wonder. You think there are about 100 bollards that need to be replaced though?
That was
Well-
my personal take, and then I'm happy to go walk the space with somebody too, right now with the ground being more frozen, like some of them are standing up pretty good, but you can feel the loose ones.
So,
And judging from the ones that do crack or have cracked,
yeah, what's involved in replacing them? What do they do?
he didn't have time for that conversation with me. I think he got plowed snow in the winter too.
Do you
but,
think they re-drill them or?
I think he just goes into the hole auger and just pulls up the punky old stuff and plops a new one
And the
in.
new one, and
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't able to get pricing on bollard posts from RK, from Sticks, from any of the contractors around. They don't carry any Kenyans. Tractor Supply has pressure treated posts that match, but they're all 8 feet tall. I didn't see a need for us to put 8-foot posts in, and those run for the 5 to 6 inch rounds. They're $19.99 a piece, and the 6 to 7 inch rounds are $24.99 a piece.
But isn't 4 of those feet in the ground?
Yeah.
That would be, and that's where I'm saying it'd be a waste. And we've got about 3 feet exposed, so there's probably 5 or 6 foot lengths that are up at the field right now, is my assumption. I wouldn't know without picking one up.
Right.
But, and we've got about 3 feet exposed on all of those.
Yeah.
So like 8-foot post, cool, we could put 8 feet in the ground, have 4 feet sticking up, and then we're gonna have some height variances. I don't know if anybody's got an issue with that, or if we could chop off 2 feet.
Right.
And to me, that seems like a waste. Whereas I called F.E. Hart,
Who was it that gave you the estimate?
F.E. Hart, and that is in Rebecca's email now. She could forward that around as well. I got back from work today. I called this morning. I was like, "Hey, bud," but it came through.
So the other, Dana and I had done some research, because I was gonna try to get a grant for the bollards, is we think Kingsbury may have done them in the past.
Okay.
So, we may wanna call Kingsbury and ask them, or I can email them tomorrow, whichever works.
You guys have enough on your docket? I get some
Okay,
time. I'll
perfect.
give them a call and get back to you.
Great.
What do y'all think about how many bollards?
To budget for?
Yeah.
I mean, I would defer to,
Yeah, I think we give them 10,000 and they figure out how to.
Yeah,
do
and we
it.
figure out how to make it work.
and yeah, do X money this year, X money next year.
Yeah,
And
That's what we
then
have to do.
always save yourself a little bit in your budget, because things happen in the middle of the summer, something will come down, something will break.
yeah.
And Passive does give grants for bollards. It's not a ton of money, it might only be 1,500, 2,000, but
Okay.
it might help with
That would be
the
something.
cost.
Might be enough to-
It's a little
15 or
bit.
20.
Yeah. So,
And then did Matt Holland ever email over an estimate for the tree work around that brown shed, or did he send that to us?
I think the only thing I received from him was his invoice.
Okay, I asked him to send you that estimate too.
Is that addition, in addition?
That was, let's see if I got it here. 12/15,
Yeah, that's just.
24.
Invoice.
Okay, so he did send an estimate over, and this was about clearing around the brown shed. That was $2,500.
That's not included in what you just,
No, that was one thing I did totally forget to bring to the table, because that's something we wanted to see done. We could put this off to 26, and that one large white pine is starting to break down. I've been cleaning up some big branches that have been falling in the area. So I see that as a, potential hazard to, the brown shed that SOS uses and the power lines coming off of the solar panels. So that was my concern for that. That gets a little more pine pitch and pine needles away from the playing area at the skate park. So it will make that area safer to have that gone. So I guess if we're gonna consider adding that, our ask would be 12,500 with that tree work.
and that's still really tight.
Very.
So if you can get some grant funding for the bollards, that helps.
Mhm.
Giving you some breathing room, 'cause, like a 4 to 5K estimate off the cuff for the excavation could be 62. Right,
Which
and
is what our other estimates are pretty much showing.
yeah, so,
So maybe we can't do everything in one year.
Yeah.
We can't, I'm sorry, I'm not saying that to you,
No,
I'm just
yeah.
saying.
That's the truth.
I'm more comfortable funding it at a level and
Yeah,
then
I
just
am
hitting
too.
it over multiple years.
Yeah.
You're picking your priorities.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I
right.
think.
And then when you find like
Safety,
you have money left
safety,
over or something, then you do a little.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And look
Or-
for grants and, leverage it.
Definitely.
yeah, I
Do we
think-
have another line item for tree removal anyways? Or is that,
We do, it's in the, it's townwide.
Highway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yes, that kind of thing could be used there, but you don't wanna earmark it
Just
for
throw
something
it
like
there.
right,
this.
right, I'm just saying.
It's more for when a village tree comes down and needs to come down or something like that.
Not for sprucing up things, like the dead tree leaning on a building.
So I think that lights and the bollards are probably two of the things that grants would potentially help pay for. It might be more readily available than the other things.
Cool, yeah. Committee know, and we'll do our best to get that figured out. And then, you guys had also asked about kind of like 5-year plan stuff, long term, and this is going back basically to that original list we had brought forth, I think it would have been in 23, and I drew up that little map. I don't know if we have a copy of it anywhere, but we were looking at, trails. We kind of got, I would like to see the interpretive trail signs revamped. Spoke to the original artist, Jeannie Sargent, kind of set those up, and that would be through a grant she originally went through the Warren Conservation Commission. So I've actually been kind of trying to work with her to get her a grant to revamp that. I think it'd be a great asset to keep that going in the town, put something a little more permanent up there. It was really cute. It's all natural stuff.
Yeah.
So that's something I've been kind of working on. So our 5-year plans, we were talking some sort of pavilion, moving the basketball court, me saying, I'm done with the skate park, it'd be great. Flattening the playing field, the soccer pitch. So I'm still waiting for some callbacks from Nate and Simon, just to see what kind of, if they even think that's a reasonable ask for what their infrastructure is, what it can handle, what kind of machinery could you even potentially bring on there. I've looked into some, sand leveling techniques that people use at golf courses and such. It's very low weight, low impact. Everything still permeates. Looking at the fire pond, I think we have found that there is no reason to have that there anymore. The school doesn't require it for insurance purposes, and the fire department will never use it,
Right.
Considering its current state. And it'll be more efficient for them to go pump from town to bring it up to school in the event of a fire. So it's addressing what we want to see happen there, or if we're just what happens there. I know Bob and I experienced it a lot in the evenings, and the other players in the field, it's a mosquito breeder. So that's our, thought with that.
Where
and
is
then-
it?
In the
Behind the
woods.
dog park.
Yeah.
Next time you drive up there, look for the hydrant on your right after the brown shed.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a straight path.
Right, got that.
Okay.
The fence is starting to become a little,
I'll go with
dogs
you.
like to go swimming in there, which, whatever. And then, long term, create some sort of system for management of Brooksfield, and ideally hand it over to the Matter Valley Rec District if they're willing to take it on. So, yeah. Long, the short 5-year list right there.
That's awesome.
Those are great goals. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's great.
thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
investing in it and
Thanks for
putting a lot
having
of
us
your
be part of
energy
it.
into it.
We
Okay,
appreciate
so
it.
final budget
Great,
ask.
Final budget ask? Yeah, I'd love to ask for 20, Dana, but I don't know.
I said 10.
10 to 10.
Yeah,
I know, right? Always
Thank you,
try.
Sounded
And like we were talking about, we're probably not gonna be able to hit everything that we'd like to do this year. So I think we're safe, and we just have to, get our gears to the grindstone, wherever goes to the grindstone, get some grant money or put some things off. Priorities, we're definitely gonna be bollards. I know Alicia's gonna wanna see those lights as a priority. And then I'm gonna check in with, the committee, and, I've been talking to them about trying to do some sort of public forum, whether it be at least just a survey through the Valley Reporter, or actually like invite people up there this spring and be like, hey, we're the newly formed Warren Rec Committee, reformed, like, let us help you. So there'll be some more news coming to you guys through the pipeline.
Great. Nice work.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay.
I think the bollards are probably a priority for the spring because people are getting up there and getting on the fields and throwing donuts and stuff, and doing damage. Cause, Bob had come,
Twice. this
early
year.
spring and, he asked for some money to pay for, some soil and stuff to fix the grass.
But we also
So-
were trying to see if we can get cameras up there too. That's what Davis had mentioned.
Okay,
Cause he was like, it would be a lot easier if we had a camera up there so that.
Yeah.
You could see who drove up through the field. For
Good
fun.
point.
Yeah,
So I don't know if we can do that, but
it's worth investigating for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, there's plenty of power
yeah.
that's what I.
options.
But do we have an ordinance to enforce it?
I think. we-
Yes.
Yeah.
If the sheriff does it, we do.
We have the,
That's just
We have the-
illegal.
the
Yeah.
cameras on the building facing the parking lot anyways. It's not,
Yeah.
it doesn't go right to the front of the building, it goes just to the parking lot. and out to the parking lot in the library, just so you can watch the bear
Right.
Mhm.
and the fox.
Rebecca, you have discussion continued for the budget. Are there other things that have changed?
Nothing's really changed. The budget that I put in your folders is more final. Dana and I worked on it, this afternoon. And the numbers that you see highlighted in yellow are numbers that we have questions, or I have questions on. One of the things, I think, I don't know if Camilla said it or Devin said it, you're gonna see that the salaries, the increase is only 2.47%.
Yep.
And that's due to the 52 weeks versus the 53 weeks.
Okay.
So I have a question. I don't see the ambulance service ask anywhere. Am I
So
missing it?
because that's a new ask, they have to have a petition filled out. So that will be an article.
Wasn't it a line, I guess we dropped it as a line
We
item?
did.
because it
The
was-
last time that they asked for money was in 21.
Really?
So Brent, sent an email to Mark Giametti this afternoon. And I honestly don't think he's gonna have issues getting the signatures. And then it'll be back on the, so we were gonna put it under the special appropriations. That's where Dana and I talked about.
Well, I don't think we need them. What do you guys think? Do we need them to have signatures or do we sponsor this? Putting it on the, as a warrant item.
We're allowed to sponsor it?
Is it a long
Whatever
term?
we freaking.
Yeah.
It is a long.
Yes.
Every year it would be 14,000.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
cool with us
Is it
sponsoring
14 or
Is it?
15?
It's
14.
14, I think.
So it would be an ongoing special appropriations.
Correct. Probably for the foreseeable future.
Yeah,
I'm 100% comfortable with sponsoring it.
So,
Same.
so I would, let's wait for Luke to get back. But, yeah, we can,
We still have to have an article. We just don't, they don't need to go through the hoops
they don't
of
need to go through the.
getting petitions signed.
I think,
They do enough.
so. Yeah, just, I thought we had just put it on last time.
I think actually we did because they asked for, I think, $30,000, $15,000 for 2 years,
years.
over 2 years
Right.
to pay for the car. And we did put it on, but it had also been, they had asked for like $5,000 within that, in the period that they could not have to do it. Rita and you guys, it went on. So I think, just like you're saying, if you sponsor an article to have this on there and make that decision, because they have been on before.
we're talking about some of this. And they're asking 14,000 and
Us added, the select board added an article versus a petition.
Yeah.
and
I missed
Andy was.
And whether we even need to do that. I'm not sure, is there a mechanism that says we have to do that?
Rather than just adding a line item.
So
I,
Brent did some research and he found from some other towns that that is their mechanism.
Okay.
I don't know if it's statute, I don't know that. Because no one actually, referenced the statute in there. It's, I forget what he called it.
So I can think about this two ways. One, no one in the right mind is gonna vote that down. So why not just put it in our budget? And the other is, there's precedent and we do it because it's how we do it and blah, blah, blah. So,
But we have sponsored them before.
Sponsoring, but
I mean,
sponsoring is
we
different
have
than just adding.
Provided
correct.
Right.
funds for them in the past. So that was what, Rebecca and I were like, do we need an article? So that was,
But we
we reached
removed
out
the
to Brent.
line item.
So Brent is saying that it's better to have it by the books, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I was suggesting is that we sponsor it instead of having them fill out a petition.
I agree with that.
But we go ahead and sponsor an article rather than just adding
Yes.
it. I think
Yeah.
I'd be more comfortable with
And
that.
so then you should just write it, get together with Giametti and write the article. And then just make sure it passes. so that it's legally binding, basically.
Yep. Okay.
Cause all, people always write articles and then you're like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. There's always one, at least.
Mm.
Yeah, Rita always drafted our warrant.
All right, so we have
Okay.
one warrant article.
One of the other things, that we had talked about at a previous meeting was moving, Andrew had actually asked for us to move, park maintenance out of his budget, because it's not something that they oversee.
Sure.
So Dan and I talked about moving park maintenance to the recreation section, as well as putting the Warren Rec Committee's, budget in that section.
Yep. Which it is, right?
So park maintenance
Sorry.
is defined as what?
It's the mowing.
It's,
All the
was
mowing.
Backside, it was Eric and the,
Is it more than that? Is there more than?
we added,
So it would also
No.
be the tennis courts, the bollards,
So, well,
so we
if we're
talked
doing the
about.
bollards there, why not?
Right, so that was gonna be my next question was, are the bollards our responsibility? I mean, in a roundabout way they are, but, or are they in the rec department's budget?
They're in the rec department's budget because we're asking them to help oversee that whole property.
Right, but we also are
It should
just
be under
discovering
park
that we have
maintenance.
funds that could
Right.
be used there.
Right.
But I don't know what else is in that 19.5.
Yeah, we need a
Mine.
breakdown on the 19.5.
Because we don't know, since Eric has moved on.
I've talked to, I think we talked about this a couple of months ago, or maybe a month ago or so ago, that, people laughed at our 11.5, but
Yep.
that Eric was charging us.
Right.
And that,
Yeah.
17.5 was more like the realistic of all of the different places that we have to mow, the weed whacking, all that stuff.
Eric did so much extra,
Yeah, he
as we
did.
all.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
did Top Gas, he did the school, he did
Yeah.
everything in the world. So the quotes that we have been getting are the 15 to 17.
Okay, so then where's the additional 2,000
So we've got
in park maintenance?
2,500.
Well, we put in there, I think, some dump fees, some cleanup fees from the rec district, because we did not have funds that were committed from last year. So I think that was why we added the 19.5. Does that make sense? And as you can see on another, I added another line because I love, obviously, keep doing that. The dump fees were $2,000 that the rec district did last year. So
When they
with,
took down that amphitheater.
with the throwing out and cleaning up the field and everything like that, so.
So you're anticipating another
I
2,000 for
think
that
that
this
those
year? Is
guys
that-
are cleaning up. I mean, that's where we were putting the park maintenance. And that I did a separate line just so that we could see what they were spending last year for the rec district, so that people had a better idea on that. I didn't put the trees in there because.
I'm really confused.
Yeah,
You should know, it's me.
So,
No, that doesn't make
That is
just-
her stock and trade.
sense.
so we just sort of approved $10,000 that'll go under Warren Rec Committee.
So when Dana and I worked on this, we didn't know that they were gonna ask for 10,000.
Okay, no, I'm just
Yeah.
saying, so, but
But you
it looks
did,
like you
you
have
have
it.
yeah,
in
it's
there.
in there.
You have
It's like,
10,000. And then, and that we now know would be for the bollards, the
Yes.
site work.
It would
the-
be their work completely, so.
So
Yeah,
then,
let me rephrase that. I didn't know they were gonna ask for bollards in their quote, in their
Okay.
$10,000.
Yep,
That's,
Okay.
okay.
yeah,
I'm logging into Nemrick right now to see if we can,
I'm still not convinced that it's necessarily appropriate,
What?
the bollards being on their ask. I
Yeah,
think because they're protecting our wastewater
that's
site.
sort of how I,
It just feels
Hold
like
on.
it's not.
the reason that we talked about this before when we had it was because it's anything on that land. We've asked them for help coordinating that work.
and I would support that in that they are coming to us. They're the ones looking at it and saying, we want.
We're the
this
ones
done.
here, day to day.
And it's their budget, it's our budget, it's all the same
Totally.
budget, so, but let's let them go ahead and say, we want this done and put it in their budget, would be my feeling. Cause we might say it's not that important, but if we're thinking about it, they're the ones who are thinking about it.
Yeah,
So let it. be in their
I
budget.
think where I'm coming from with respect to the bollards is that it is important that those are in good shape to protect our investment of the wastewater facility up there. And so I think it's worth funding them in their replacement.
So what you're asking for is just more money, not
I'm
where it
wondering
is.
if that 2,500 that we have, that it sounds like we're talking about is in park maintenance, that was earmarked for bollards, should just get moved down. And make sure that goes toward those bollards.
I don't think we know that we need all those bollards. Even, I mean, Pierre said he's guessing.
So.
I don't think he
what's-
said he's
what's
guessing,
the
he's just
problem
that he's
with just
not a-
leaving it just like it is, and if the rec committee runs short, Dana would be like, well, there are bollard money here to fund that
Yeah.
bollard part.
I mean,
So-
I'm fine with that, especially considering we don't know what the total cost for mowing will necessarily be.
Exactly.
Cause we
Right.
don't have the new person having
That's right.
having done it.
I think that's right.
So,
That seems reasonable to me.
okay, so on that, are we comfortable with 19.5? That leaves 17.5, which is what we think mowing is likely to cost, and a $2,000 cushion.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and hopefully there's grant money too. for the
Yeah.
bollards Or wherever, yeah.
Okay, so that settles that one. Rebecca, or do we want
Yeah, I think we're going backwards now, right? Did we just jump ahead? a little
Well,
bit?
I'm
'Cause I
just-
had a couple questions.
the one thing, yeah, the Rebecca said things highlighted were questions, so we have computer network
Yeah,
support.
computer,
contracts.
we had wondered why was it so much more?
Okay,
Yeah,
so Camilla and I talked yesterday at length about this. And it's very confusing because we have maintenance contracts, we have software support, we have network support,
Yep,
and Google, the Google Suite is in there, which is just roughly $4,000. And if we're adding select board members to it this year, that's gonna be another, I forget what it is per user, per month. So what Camilla and I were talking about is maybe eliminating some of these line items and having them all be combined into one so that we don't have to try and break it down every time.
so the problem might be that they're getting associated with different
Right,
line
yeah.
items. So trying to try to eliminate that, make it one.
Right.
The only way
Then
that
we
we
know
were
they're all in
figuring it
there.
out is that the previous town administrator wrote a number of grants that were directed for certain specific stained
Things.
vests or things like that, or, surge protectors or anything like that. This may have made it easier for her to write the grants because she knew the funding. If we code them if
Right.
we actually mark them
Right.
exactly, then, and since I'm not doing AP, this might work. But I think that it's up to you guys.
So you're saying it's possible to,
Just combine the line items.
no, I think we just said two different things.
Yeah.
Network support would be with, or purchasing would be as, purchasing line. Software and network support would be under support. And
So-
then maintenance contracts, I think it was, or something.
Yeah, so we would put maintenance contracts, software support, and network support all in one line item. Keep software support and software purchase and computer purchase separate,
Right,
because those are pretty obvious.
so support and contracts would be all together.
Yeah.
Okay,
That makes
what
sense.
does that do to these numbers? Do they just get added?
They just
Yeah,
get
it's
added
just
together.
for clarification, just so when we
So
sit there.
total
so what's the
computer
difference
stays the
between
same.
Maintenance contract and computer.
So,
There's still 42%.
last year,
Hmm?
when we switched to North Branch, we still had some fees that we had to pay to Butternut to get the transition, to make the transition happen. So, and I think those were forgotten about, in that 21.5. And then also Nemrick, we forgot about Nemrick last year, that's 5,600.
That's in the support, or where does that?
That's in
one go?
maintenance, we have it, right now we have it in maintenance
Okay.
contracts. And so Dana and I figured that if I totaled all the numbers, so it was Butternut, it's Nemrick, it's North Branch, it's Google, and it's Vickery Hill.
Right.
So,
That's in that 30,000 actual,
correct,
okay,
correct. And so we figured that if we kept it at 36, we would be safe with all the unknowns, that come up.
So is that a 1K buffer or a 6K?
okay,
Well,
Yeah, I'm
wait,
confused.
before you answer that question, can I ask a different question that I think will get us there?
Yeah.
If 30,170 is,
the actual,
yeah, I guess you could say no.
Yeah,
So we could.
go ahead.
If that's the actual from last year, and we know that there were extra fees from the transition period, shouldn't that number be higher than it would be in a normal year? And if so, why would we add another 6K?
so what I did, I forgot to say this, our server is pretty much shot. And so Sean is wanting to move away from that server, that's gonna take more work on his end, which is not in our maintenance contract, so that's above and beyond what we already pay them. So he wants to move everything to the cloud.
Do you have a quote for that? That work?
Yes,
So yes, and we have to do more.
yeah,
And where did you get 1K?
Because Nimrick, you said you forgot about it. I was wondering if that was where that
That it was.
additional.
We put that into the maintenance contract and that was 5670.
So it is represented in the actual of 30.
It's sorry, you forget, it's already been paid or it's.
It's already been paid. We did not budget for it last year.
Okay, I was confused then. I thought
So,
it was not
It's
budgeted.
part of
North
that
Branch.
9,000.
got
North
it.
Branch prices are increasing by 1.8%, which is roughly 25 more a month. The Google space, will increase by $432 annually if we add more, users.
That's not too bad. 432. With these numbers, this piddly.
Right.
So I guess the 6K, unless it's,
It's to pay
Ex-
for,
what?
sorry, go.
6K seems high as a buffer
Okay.
to me.
Can I just ask a question then? If we're, if we're taking, for actually combining computer network support and software support and adding it to maintenance contracts, more or less, say, right? We're putting them all together.
Yep.
Then those, another 10.5. Yeah, except for the 9,000. I guess that I was wondering whether it was 36 because you were taking some of that and adding it to the line, but it's not, it's 9,000, it's 10,000.
Why did we drop our software support budget down so low? Because we thought North Branch was that wrapped in,
Yeah.
and it didn't happen that way?
Yeah.
Why didn't it happen that way?
I don't know the details on the software support completely.
Well, some of it was, Nemrick going down multiple times.
Yeah.
Every
that's
time
right.
they had to help us with the cloud services, that's a fee.
Wait,
So-
That was
their
Nemrick, not-
system crashed and then they charged us to
No,
make
no,
it
we
better?
didn't get charged for them.
Yeah, we did.
For
There was a
fi-
couple of $110 invoices that I was looking at yesterday.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Why does Nemrick pay that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question.
We'll just short them $110 every time.
So, yeah, so that was part of, software support.
So I guess like the question we're sort of dancing around here is we tried so hard to save money on our,
We thought we had done a
Software.
jolly good job.
Well,
yeah,
so,
and is
I
that just
also-
not
We
real?
didn't, it's hard to say because there were a lot of things that we missed that didn't have to
Yes.
do with this.
right.
Yes,
So we're kind of comparing apples and
Yeah.
oranges.
And I
Okay.
also, last year,
Mm,
I didn't have any idea, truth be told. And I
Yeah,
think
right.
we nickel and dime stuff so much that now it's like, ugh, we way under budgeted that.
okay.
But I didn't know necessarily.
Yeah.
Now I know.
Yeah, no,
I have
I
a
mean, we
better
went through a
idea.
whole process of trying to find a new
Right.
person to do this, to
Right.
save money,
And I
and it
think
just
there were
feels
some
like, oh,
assumptions-
shit.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I think there were some assumptions, and, but I mean, we call them and they're on it. It's much different.
The service is better.
I'm not
It's,
unhappy with the service, it's just that
That's all
we
good.
didn't budget
It's just-
properly.
It's just, you're looking at what was a very flat budget and actual, very close run. And then this hockey stick that
Right,
Yeah,
Yeah,
to the moon, Alice, you know, it's.
I mean, we can budget the 30,000 like it is for this year, and if we have overage, then we have overage.
so, but back to Camilla's question, if we're combining maintenance contracts, software support, and computer network support and contracts, right? Those are the 3 line items that you're talking about adding into one.
Yep.
So then you've got your 30 in the actuals line.
Yeah.
30,170, 9,000, and another 1,200.
Right.
So we're at 10,2 on top of the 3,170, which is 40,400 in actual from 2024. Right?
Mhm.
Am I doing that correctly?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so then if we're gonna remove those from next year's budget, crossing the 1,500 out and the 9,000 out, we're maybe under budgeting at 36.
Oh, yeah, definitely. They weren't adding.
Well, I
Yeah.
don't think
the
they haven't
36
added,
was
they
they
haven't moved
added
those
that.
line items yet.
They're doing 36 plus 9 plus 15 is what they're suggesting.
they still carry across horizontally.
So,
So we're going from
The 40
40,400 to 46,500. So it's a $6,000 difference
Yep.
increase this year, so
45,
basically.
46.
So we can make it
12%,
40,300, which is roughly, I mean, it's 40,287. If we combine those actuals.
But
Well,
you know that the server is failing.
Correct.
And we're going to have to do something about that.
And that's not in there?
And that's not in there. That's
He
where
didn't-
she put this extra 6.
Yeah, he didn't give us I just looked at his email, he didn't give us a price for that.
Is that, so where does that go?
That's in
If we
that
did have a price for it?
So that would be in that
36.
Maintenance
computer network support
contracts.
Your network
contracts,
support contracts,
that combined number.
Is in the server
because we
piece
get
of
rid of.
hardware?
What's going
It is,
away?
but we,
It's
it'd be
gonna
going
be
to
a
the cloud.
service.
Okay, so
So it
it's
wouldn't
gonna
be.
The
Do we
cost
wanna
is gonna
do
be in,
Is that a good, wise decision to?
to get rid of a server,
Yeah.
physical server,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and go to the cloud?
That we have a server in that closet is
ridiculous.
Not
guys,
good.
we went to Nemrick to
Trying to
the
think of a good
cloud, to a
word.
different cloud. There has not been an
Yeah.
issue with that at all. There has been numerous cities that are also on the big server that Nemrick was using. They're crashing all the time. So there was only a few towns that were chosen, and he chose us immediately because of the gift I have.
Ah, yes.
And he's a great guy. He's a great guy, and there's only 2 towns or 3 towns on it. So we have had no difficulties.
So we have no estimate of what that cost is to go to the cloud?
Can we,
It didn't cost anything at this point.
No, no,
The
well,
$5,000 contract.
For us to.
No, I don't know what
Switch
Rebecca said that there was a couple of issues going on that. So-
Rebecca, are you able to can you ask North Branch for an estimate for budget
Yep.
planning
let's
purposes?
check down the cost.
And are there other projects that we need to know about?
Yeah.
Would that be under town improvement with capital?
Eh,
I don't think so.
no,
Okay, and we're not worried about cybersecurity issues with the cloud,
Everybody's worried about cybersecurity issues, but
but this isn't a particular issue.
North Branch has their own
never.
cybersecurity on
Yeah.
all of our servers and our Gmail accounts and all that.
Okay. Okay.
So if we can, let's get, Rebecca, if you're able to just try to rein that
Okay,
Okay.
number in.
piece that we really wanna do.
And maybe in the budget so that we can see it. Oh, no, you can't do that. I was gonna say, you can't change the line items. I guess you could move the budget, 2025 budget down to, you could zero out the ones that we're removing it from.
Yeah,
Okay,
And so then that, I guess the question is that 6,000 necessary and can it potentially be less, but otherwise?
yeah,
everything-
let's get our real estimate of expenses for next year and then decide what, if any.
And then once we get the server out of the closet, we can rent it as an office.
Yeah.
And reduce these fees.
We got meetings in there.
No, that'd be Jeff's space.
Yep, that's the
We'll move
safety,
Jeff down here.
public safety office.
Uh,
Okay.
Okay.
What other
Okay, next.
law enforcement?
yeah. So Sheriff's Department, I contacted Waitsfield, talked to Christine. She said that typically what they do is they set a budget number for the Sheriff's Department and they are asked to work with that number.
Mhm.
I feel that we should do the same thing.
That's what we've
So
always done.
What we've done.
last year, we budgeted 43,680, they only came in at 37,700. I have 44, only because that's roughly what we budgeted last year. And, you know, I asked Brett to come in and talk to me, he got COVID, so he couldn't, because
Just
his.
to avoid you, he got COVID.
That's what I said, thanks, but I think that we should take that same approach.
Yeah.
It's-
I agree, and I think we should do 43,680.
Okay,
Really? Let me just push back a little bit.
Yeah, I'll push back with you.
We know we have a lot of speeding issues. We know that we're gonna want more patrol hours.
But can they give it to us?
Right,
Well, he seemed to suggest they could.
That's what I said.
They've
I heard-
said
They
that
were ramping
Said that
up.
every single year.
Okay.
Year's gone for 3 months.
Hold on,
But if
let's
they
do one at
can't,
a
we don't-
time.
I mean, we
Come
want
on.
it, we want it. If they can give it to us, do we want them to give it to us? Or, and then if they can't, yeah, we didn't spend it, or do we just say, well, you know, we're gonna hold you at this anyway? I just feel like we know, I mean, they gave us the stats. We know that there are people.
I know they're speeding because I look down every once in a while I'm driving.
You're not the
After I
one
check the radio on my phone.
40,
But-
40 miles over the speed
But-
limit. But you don't wanna get
Okay,
caught.
but so
well, sure,
the
but-
Hold on.
issue
But
is
I-
we're gonna put the money into either like a whole bunch of signs that nobody's gonna pay attention to,
Thank
and
you.
more tabletops and more speed bumps that everybody hates, or we're gonna pay law
More
enforcement.
effective if we could have law enforcement than have all that crap in the roads.
Well, I think it's great to well, I don't know that you can budget for that if we don't know that that can be fulfilled.
Well,
They told us
they
they
said they
can.
could.
But they have also said that they've said that over for
Yeah.
years and have not delivered.
As a matter
I
of fact,
thought
you
they
just have to
said
look
they
at the
couldn't.
line
You
items
can,
here.
you can budget for it if they say that they can fulfill it. I understand that they might not.
That,
My
well,
recollection
okay,
is that they were not, they communicated they were not able to fulfill the hours
Previously, yeah.
previously, and then come last summer, they said they felt like they could, which was halfway through the year.
It was
So
when,
they
it
could
was
have
2 or
it
3 years
now.
ago, no.
that, you know, we will fulfill the budget, and
No.
they didn't.
Yeah.
So,
Alright, so let's do it one at a time. What,
Can I ask a question before?
yeah,
I think that they had suggested we talk to Waitsfield insofar as funding similarly, so they could just split time. Did you get
Christine
any?
said that they budget, let me just open her.
And then he said it would be awesome if we could also talk to Moortown, right? Or
Facein.
Yeah.
Facein doesn't pay any.
We're
Facein's
not
not,
talking
Yeah.
Not gonna happen. That's a long term.
They've never
Good
been on,
luck
the one year
They
they did.
budget a little over 31,000.
Well, I don't think we should go that far.
I think if they're doing first responder stuff now too, I would hesitate to move it back.
Yeah, I don't think we should be
Oh,
decreasing the budget.
No,
I agree.
no, we definitely should.
Especially when I hear Mervis
Yeah.
has to tone out Waterbury
So
more often than not, 'cause they don't get a full crew.
we,
So
we
the
also
sheriff's
have Sugar Bush here, which Waitsfield does not have. So-
Right,
And that, I know anyway, there's some.
Is all of
synergies
Sugar
there.
Bush is going to Meharams? My response to that was like, that feels a little unfortunate. I wish they were funding at a similar level, because it would be really great to just say, hey, let's both fund it at 44, 45,
Mhm.
whatever, and split the time.
That's not gonna happen. So did they
Okay.
say their rates have gone up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so 44
It's fewer hours.
is a lower budget than
Yep.
Mhm.
fewer hours than
Fewer
last
hours.
year.
It went up huge like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It went from like $32
Just
an
60.
hour to 60.
But he
or
did
something.
Now it's like
say he's,
66, I think.
Yeah.
Is what,
Yeah, it was what, another 5?
So I think I would leave it as is, or 44 is fine, 43, 680, whatever, but we're not getting the bump from Waitsfield matching it, and I suspect Waitsfield has bigger fish to fry right now.
Yeah. I'm in favor of leaving it at 43,680. Until they can prove that it's, well.
Absolutely, if they wanna go over that, then
I think that's-
max it out, and then we'll bump it up next year.
What do you guys think?
I think, let's make sure they can fill the hours, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
There's EM training.
yeah, don't look at I don't know why I didn't unhighlight those Jeff is all fine with his. The rec committee, recreation, we just.
We
talked
did that
about.
one. Paving.
Paving, so, Andrew had talked to you guys about, paving Pumpkin. And let me just find my number, it was 389.8 is estimate, and that was based off of sort of what their numbers were last year. He's estimating $95 per ton. And that's 2.1 miles of Pumpkin Road paving. So, we were thinking that we would put that at 200 and then leave, I'm not ready to do capital yet, but it's at the bottom, and put, do 195, in the capital. for
Do
paving.
you know what's in the account?
Yep, it is. It's a chunk, I think. Is. 593, 460. This is beginning, this is the end of November, so I don't have the most up to date one, so.
So I.
Yeah.
Oh, we
It'll be
paid.
a little bit higher.
Is that something? Because I spent some money, we did 690 and the 220, so I think we have like 259 in there for the paper.
Is that in this AP? Is that?
Okay, so
We budgeted 240 and spent 690. So that's 450.
Yes, we spent 690 plus two, with the total bill was like 848, does that sound right for
Yeah.
ST paving?
880.
And I
something like that.
used the capital, I used the 450 plus the what was in this account.
240.
And so, yeah, I think it's like 250 in there, that left remaining in there.
Okay,
In capital, and we're talking about taking another, how much?
200.
Yeah, 200.
well, no, with
No,
the
no,
fund,
no,
with
no.
the proposed funding in the highway and the capital budget, it would,
we're adding in
yeah.
240 into there, so we'll be back up close to 500 in
Yeah.
capital. We'll have 200 plus 190 coming out of capital, so we'll actually, if this is all paving we do, we're actually adding to capital for future.
Correct.
Yes,
No.
Yep.
Where's
No.
the 240?
Yeah.
there's also 240, we haven't got there yet, in the capital budget.
Oh,
We have two, well, maybe it's only, I don't know.
No, 195.5 to fund the capital budget and
Ah,
200.
okay, that changed. So 195.5 plus the 200, that's what Andrew's figuring we need this year.
that's what I
So,
was,
so we're funding this year's paving in this year's budget and leaving whatever's already in that capital account as is,
Untouched.
whether it's 250 or 260
I
or
see.
whatever.
So that
Okay.
when there's a
Okay.
bigger
For future.
project,
Yeah,
So we have some steak in the fridge.
all right.
A little bit.
And he said we could
Little
do
steak in the
less,
freezer.
less on Plumpton, but it's gonna cost us more, because it's, the more road you do, the less.
The
money.
better
Yeah.
tonnage rate we
Yeah,
get.
exactly.
Right.
And I think he's been pretty conservative. I think there's a good chance it'll be a better rate than $95 a ton.
Mhm.
But he doesn't want to guess low.
Right.
Which is smart.
I get it, okay.
Next one is building maintenance.
Yep,
Propane,
so,
yeah.
propane, obviously, we have a new furnace that's propane, so that's why that number is higher.
It was.
Not knowing, because we only
What's going
had
down?
2 months of,
Yeah, we haven't.
we haven't really had a
we
full
just got
winter of,
Right.
It was previously oil.
yes.
Correct.
But
So is our heating oil gone away?
So it hasn't gone away completely because Dana's thinking that
There is one fuel oil, tank that's behind
Right.
the garage.
Yeah.
And
At the
that,
garage?
yeah,
Oh, the
Oh,
storage building?
yeah,
No.
and it's filled up twice a year and I'm gonna say $600 total for the year, something like that.
Okay.
So we
I could,
moved
I could check on
propane
that.
to be more efficient,
Correct.
but we're not saving anything anywhere.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
On the heating oil.
Yeah.
Go from
We're going from
47
to 22.
4,700 to 22, 723, but you're saying that 2,200 might be 3 times what we need.
So Dana, if that's over at the town garage, why is it not under Andrew's highway budget?
That, because,
Because it
I
never,
don't- I don't
because it never has been.
Break it out.
But probably because it used to be multiple buildings.
Okay,
right,
Okay.
And now that they're the only one left.
got it,
correct, I think that's.
Musical chairs,
got it.
music has stopped.
Is there,
So it looks like 2,200 could go down.
maybe,
Definitely, yeah, I mean, it could, but I can confirm the cost on,
Why don't you confirm the year cost on that one thing that's left?
okay,
And then the good news is that in a couple of years, that'll
it's
be
not
gone
even gonna be
too.
around,
Yeah.
right?
can we,
And we'll have a better idea next year of what the propane cost is for this building. We just don't,
Correct.
we just don't know.
Yeah.
or one more thing, what, the actuals for 2024 for propane, when are those through? What's the date on
Mm.
Well,
payment
I have
for
it
those?
for, today, and let's see, the actual for,
Because we're way low for some reason.
what
Yeah,
is it, 56? 56,
No, 16, 735.
She's
No,
talking
I-
about the account number.
come on, guys.
I don't know that one offhand,
Yeah,
sorry.
we speak the same language. It's scary.
We use 16,734
Yeah.
as of.
Today?
That is really low.
Okay, so that's,
But it's also probably because we're getting a better price.
That is
Yeah, I think
fire
that's
department and library.
so all the buildings, garage.
so
And
28,
this building now.
Well, the 16,735 is not much of this building,
Because this just started.
because this just
Yeah.
started, like,
Just 2
we
months
basically
ago.
have like a month and a half, 2 months.
Wasn't it on board before we started heating? No?
It
No.
was the oil.
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 Mhm.
Okay, so basically, I don't know, looks like we need to,
Still don't-
still looks high.
Yeah.
28.5 looks way high.
If
Well,
our
we
actual is
just
here,
kinda
16.7.
Took a stab at the dark because we don't know.
Oh,
You know, we had the heat pumps on, until probably the end of
Yeah.
November, so we've really only had propane in this building for about a month.
Okay, but we could use the cost of the oil to inform the decision on the propane, right? Because we know that the oil is more expensive and less efficient.
Yeah.
Right? So if we were spending 3,500 on oil, it looks like, heating this building, we're gonna spend less than that heating this building with propane. So your 16,735, you could add 3,500 to and be closer to what your actual will be.
But except for 2023 actual was way higher.
Yeah.
So,
2023
It's 23,448.
actual,
Yeah.
which is probably why,
And
which is probably why
2022
last year we
21.
made it 25,000. And then this year being crazy low, I don't know that we should lower it that much. I think I would stick with 25 again.
25.
I would
is
say,
what was thinking.
yep. I like that.
Got it.
It's a nice zero on the budget increase.
Yeah.
And we wanted to keep, you wanted me to check on the heating oil.
Please.
Okay.
To
Yeah,
see
if we can drop that down lower, let's drop it lower. Maybe we drop down to 1,000. Don't know, I'd drop it under 1,000, even if it's only 600,
Yeah.
just in case.
Okay.
Okay, so the elephant in the room here is building maintenance. And whether we're going to try and fund a position, someone to deal with these things, rotten siding, decaying stairs, all the things that we keep talking about.
I'm not ready to apply for that job yet.
You will be in
March, you
April.
will be.
Yeah,
No.
we're gonna split the position.
And that'll be our.
Yeah, that'll be our office.
That's the new office.
Statler and Waldorf.
The problem is
Just
that we
saying,
haven't
as far as
been
the
able to find
sign
anyone.
is concerned, y'all aren't
Yeah.
doing so well.
I mean, we've
Do you wanna
asked people,
talk?
Hugh's left, he's not doing any work. We
I would've
asked
finished that sentence, it's too
another
mean.
person that's helped
Yeah.
us out, and the costs were a little bit higher than we were expecting. So we haven't been able to find a reliable, person that would be able to do stuff.
Paul Burns. Take it to the bank.
You've been driving the.
Yeah, he's
Mad
driving
bus.
the Mad Bus, and he's
Oh, he's in
also,
the Mad Bus now too?
and he's doing the, airport run, he's doing
Yeah.
Bill Peatman stuff.
Yeah.
So if we have a name of a person that we could,
Well, I guess the question is a little bit like Ruth's thing. If there's something we need, should we be budgeting for it and then figuring out how to fill it? Yeah, I mean, you guys aren't gonna do it. I mean,
We don't
that's
want to anymore.
ridiculous.
We have been, I mean.
we have been.
No.
How's your list going?
We have a toolbox, she's got, Jeff gave her a screwdriver, and it's like
Good.
3 different screw
Ooh.
heads. We put a desk together today, and that, we only had the small Phillips.
I think when Davis is hanging around, you put the screwdriver in his hand. There we go.
Do we have a line item anywhere for, I know we had talked about,
Repairs and maintenance,
We just have been sticking it in repairs in it.
yeah. So we've basically been contacting whoever comes up in conversation, and if they can come and do it. Aiden Knox, Sandra's grandson, sometimes Jeff,
Yeah, and mostly Bob and Jeff, to be honest.
Bob and
with you.
Jeff,
Today we had Carrie's boyfriend come in, so that helped us.
and
Put things
then who
together.
was,
He
who else?
moved it.
Lucas Van Bo has
Yeah,
been,
he's been doing it a ton.
so where is that?
Oh, there.
For him.
It's under building
Repairs and
maintenance,
Repairs and maintenance.
35
under
guys.
custodial salaries.
Okay,
It's been 35 for a while, and that's what we used to pay, Hugh,
Johnson.
Johnson.
Yeah,
he did a lot
Charlie.
of work. Charlie's done a bunch of work. And that's where that comes out of. That's for like the rot repairs and the
okay,
new
and
doors
that's,
and stuff, which is in here.
and we're 10K under
We have that.
on our
Yeah,
budget.
We
exactly.
haven't had anybody to
well,
call.
because as you can see, we have a lot of gifts that, we have a screwdriver that has a couple different heads. With one hammer.
I was gonna say, if you were men, you'd have 3 or 4 different hammers of varying
Our
sizes.
hammer's like this big.
Yeah, our hammer is the kind we bought to break
Is
the
it the-
window.
Did you steal it from our former,
Oh, it's not over here?
I could have.
Oh,
Oh, the purple
yeah,
one?
right, here it is.
The
gavel.
purple
Well, we
one.
could use that one.
Oh.
You got that one right there.
Well, the reason I bring up that is because we had talked about trying to use that line item money to find part-time.
I would love that. It would be great, but to be honest with
So
you.
it's not an
I-
option, so it hasn't been effective.
No, and I actually don't know, I mean, at times we want it to be done, but if we had a reliable person that we know that you guys would say, hey, give this guy a call and he's gonna be able to show up. it would
Right,
be
that's
cool.
a challenge in our
Anywhere,
environment, period.
anywhere,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, that, I don't know, guys.
Well, we also talked about that with the schoolhouse too this year too, like if Eastward Market had like when Roots Work had like if we had a facilities person,
Manager.
it would be a lot more straightforward for us to kind of deal with all of those issues.
Right.
Yeah.
And we aren't entirely sure what that position would look like and how much time it would take. We had kind of tasked Rebecca with trying to keep track of the 9,000 miscellaneous things that y'all are doing that you think
And
would.
sometimes we just go do it and I
It's a
forget to
lot
put it on the
easier
list.
just,
Yeah.
just
So-
take care of it, you know? I mean, because we're there. If something's loose, we're gonna
Yeah.
go fix it. We're gonna go to Bisbee's, get the parts, get the sand, get the.
I would say
salt.
it's not as bad as it
No.
was this summer.
Yeah.
You know, certainly things quiet down in the winter time, but. You know, I think we've been getting by with asking Bob, Jeff, Kaden, Lucas, if they can come and just do
Right.
it for us.
I mean, Lucas power washed the building one afternoon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It didn't charge us.
They're like, can you just,
We wanted him to charge us, but he just basically did the front because it was gross with bugs.
Right.
So it's just, and who knows how long it's gonna take us to hire somebody to do it for, you know, part-time, on call, basically. You know, do we want them to sit around here and twiddle their thumbs when there's not absolutely nothing to do? Probably not.
no, I'd
No.
rather see that, I'd rather see those
Hiring
hours go to
somebody would
somebody
be, yeah,
Maybe if we
going
can
as,
contract with
well,
someone
that's right.
Mhm.
and just say, you know, we need somebody to be on call for when we need stuff, you know,
Isn't that
obviously we
property
don't
maintenance
expect them
companies
to come in
groups do?
at an instant.
Property management companies are so shorthanded.
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
I haven't taken on a new contract in years. As a matter of fact, I get rid of as many as I can, as
Right.
fast as I can, because I just can't do it.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's not something that no one is not dealing with, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
we just fit together what we need to do. And, you know, if it comes to it, we ask you guys, you know,
Yeah.
to help us out. But there's some things that, you know, it needs to have an insurance. I mean, us putting up things sometimes, we
What-
don't even know where the stud thing is.
What about, like Camilla says, paying a premium to have someone on call used, so if we have $10,000 in our budget, approaching Kaden or Lucas or someone that
Yeah,
isn't sure
yeah.
has a business, and say for $2,000, can we, not committing to a certain number of hours, but committing to some expectation that we can get on their schedule?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Could we pay them like a set fee and no matter if we use them or not, we pay them 5,000 and then if they have to show up above and beyond that 5,000, we pay them more? I don't know how that kind of contract
So like
would work.
working on retainer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. So I think that sounds like an interesting concept to pursue with the people that have already been
I think
doing
that's
sort
a
of
good
these
idea.
odds and ends. I
Yeah.
like that idea.
Mhm.
What that doesn't solve is the, you know, at this point, 100+ hours I've put into the town hall door.
Mhm.
That should have been being done by a facilities manager or someone, a building maintenance person, right? Like, it doesn't account for who's paying attention to the painting schedules on the buildings, who's paying attention to the, hey, all of the siding on the backside of the town hall is rotting, we need to replace that, you know, who's doing those things?
And unfortunately, I think the timing is wrong to ask for a new town garage and somebody.
Yeah, I agree with you. And we are moving, it sounds like we are moving away from people on the board and people doing those things.
Can I make a suggestion that if when we look for a person or bid out for the person that's gonna be doing the lawn care, can we
Oh,
ask them to see if they would
That's a
be
great
interested
idea.
in possibly adding more to their plate,
right,
if that would work? I'm
Yeah.
just
I think
throwing
that's
that
a
out.
great idea.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't, then we can come back to you
Mhm.
guys
Mhm.
in the middle of the year and say, hey, this is gonna work out.
Yeah, if they
Yeah.
have that skill set,
Yeah,
Right,
you know.
can we
they might not.
finagle some money somehow, figure it out where we can grab it from? And we might have it in parks and maintenance, we might have it in, I don't know, I mean, that,
I think like Camilla says, it's unfortunate, the timing is unfortunate, so finding a stopgap or some interim solution for another year is probably the way to go, I think. I don't know what you guys think.
I think we keep repairs and maintenance at 35 and use that
Hey,
where we.
Yeah.
is that okay, your guys?
Yeah.
Don't love it, but.
Village
Yeah.
garden maintenance,
Someday.
no number.
So apparently we had contracted with Clark Brook Designs to do garden cleanup.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't really been happening. The front of the building really looked like shit this fall, to be honest. And I contacted her and she was like, oh, that's not part of my contract. So we're just, Mountain Gardeners has asked twice to sort of take back over our gardens.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's volunteer.
Yeah.
And we would have to give them probably a stipend for some of the plants and things like that.
Right.
Are you guys, okay.
Yes.
So
So-
we're just, should we keep it at 1,900 and have a I don't know how, the problem is I don't know what the length of the contract was with Clark Brook Designs.
It's just a year to year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Year to year.
Oh, yeah.
I would
Okay.
propose keeping it 1,900
Okay.
for plants.
What we
and if
used,
don't-
the gardening was under repairs and maintenance, that's what we did for maintenance of the,
I'm sorry, say that
we
again?
used repairs and maintenance of the area, and that was where the gardening
That's right.
came out of before.
Okay.
You can do 1,900 and we can see where we are. If I need to use, or we need to use that for the mountain gardeners if you want.
It would be easier to have
It's separate.
the same group doing all of the gardens.
Absolutely.
Because, you know,
100%.
we've got multiple people coming
So-
to us about different areas and
So is Mountain Gardeners want to do more than just what's right
They
out
do
front?
this and they do the one by the bandstand and
The
the
railroad ties.
So, but
Exactly.
do they want to take on,
They wanna
They
take
do.
this one and they wanna take around the pavilion and they will do around the information booth.
Yeah.
I've talked to her about that.
and how about this stuff down by the Warren store?
I can ask them. I'm sure they would.
even by the covered bridge.
No, well, that one too, but I'm talking about the, down by the Warren store and. don't we have
No, we
Lily's
don't
down
have
there?
any.
We never
Well,
put,
that-
we never put anything in.
We paved those over, all of it, good,
Yeah.
we're smart.
So the only reason that they may not do it is that their group is getting older and they're all moving away.
I thought that's what, yeah,
It
I thought they were
wasn't-
getting rid of stuff.
No,
Well,
but
Janet
when,
Ellison approached us
And
and
Judy Fallon.
Judy Fallon.
Let's jump on it if
So,
we can,
okay.
yeah.
so we were like, hey, we can help you and supply you and do it that way if that's what they want,
Let's
so.
give it a try for a
Please.
year.
Yeah, that's what we
That
were
would be
hoping
good.
to try.
Let's do it.
Okay,
Okay,
awesome.
Arts Committee we talked about.
Yeah,
Wait, give me, sorry, this isn't highlighted, but under, where, just above the garden, we've got the pavilion at 30,938 under actual. What is that?
that's what we paid out.
That's what we paid out.
Isn't that ARPA funds and the grant funding though?
It's from the
It still
grant.
has to be,
Still
Yeah,
some
it still has to be
data.
recorded as.
It's not,
an
it's,
expense.
there's no, yeah, it's an expense, so
Yeah.
it
We
comes out of
received
the
that
general fund.
money.
Doesn't mean that it was raised through the budget, it means,
No.
but it has to
It
go
was
out,
just
through the
spent.
budget,
Yes,
That
yeah.
was the amount that was spent.
Okay,
which is why there's no budget.
County tax,
County
we don't,
tax, we don't have the number yet.
Yeah, she'll call me, but.
And then some of these numbers in here, we haven't received the big packet from the VLCT yet, so some of these numbers might change. But we basically put them roughly what their actuals were.
for insurance and taxes.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's usually a 7.5% increase, but we haven't received.
Yeah, we haven't received anything, so.
okay. Warning the capital budget, when do we need to do that?
I said 15 days in advance.
Yeah, so that I wanted to wait until we decided what our next couple of weeks looks like. And then we can do.
Okay, yeah, so let's do the scheduling.
I think Kaylee, you had mentioned that you had a conflict
On the off
on
weeks,
the off
On the
week.
off weeks, I would love to propose switching to Wednesdays if we continue meeting for the off weeks.
do we think we need one? Because we have the 14th.
So the 14th is a regular meeting,
14th is regular.
Mhm.
and you can make that one,
Mhm.
so it's the 21st that would be an off
Do we
week.
need the 21st?
Let
Rebecca,
me
you
just-
and I put a bunch of things on the agenda.
so did
today.
Rebecca and I.
Yeah, so what?
Sorry, team. Life is busy.
Well, we got Andrew, we need to do the capital budget with Andrew, right? We're talking about that. Thought you said something about the 21st for that.
We just, so where's Steve's? So we had a town garage meeting, today, and
We don't need the night of the 21st.
we don't. So we would like to have the select board / public informational meeting, in person on January 28th. So that the townspeople, taxpayers, any interested parties can come and listen to the proposal of
Where we are,
where we are
basically
at with the
Okay.
town garage.
what we hope to present at town meeting,
Right,
but preliminarily discussing it with the townspeople in case
Yeah.
they have input that we
Yeah.
feel should be taken into consideration and modifications could be made.
and then February 4th, having a special select board meeting so that you all can vote to move to a bond vote.
On that previously presented
Yes,
last
On the-
month.
And that
on the
gives you
28th.
enough time.
So is
for-
that's when you would have a conflict?
Yeah,
February
Well,
4th.
the 21st and the 4th would be my conflict days.
Okay, so we don't need Wyman Lampier for the 4th.
Hold on, let's do the capital budget first.
So
That's
it
the
could-
first week that's coming up. So we think that we have to have the budget finalized by the 27th.
believe so.
So we have to meet that week prior. 27th is a Monday.
And it won't be ready next week?
Why do we have to have it finalized by the 27th?
For the,
To warning.
for the,
Warn it.
Do you want it for town meeting?
no,
Get it
for,
into
for printed,
Yeah.
drop dead date for the budget.
Is it
I have
that
to have
soon?
her,
That's when-
my drop dead,
That's
everything
when
by
petitions
February
have to be in,
5th, I
so.
think.
Hmm?
I have to have repro everything by February 5th.
Oh, okay, that's what I was
When do you have to
asking.
warn it for in the paper? Is it a month, 30 days before?
Isn't it
For the-
Capital budget, I think it's 15.
Oh.
But before the meeting, town meeting thing, doesn't it have to be 30 days?
Town meeting is.
The 4th.
I don't remember.
Sorry, we just did this, the 4th.
Yeah,
Of
I
March.
thought it was
Yeah.
5 days. I don't know. I guess
That's
I was
Brent's
going
problem.
by Brent saying when petitions have to be in to get on the ballot, and that was the 27th of January.
But I don't think
That's-
we have to have our budget done then.
So we have to
Well-
publish the warning in the Valley Reporter 2 times in the 3 weeks before town meeting.
Hold on. We need to have the budget finalized for printing.
Yeah.
That's the date I'm trying to figure out next.
Yes. But why the 27th for that?
For what?
For the budget? finalized
Sorry,
for printing.
I finalized for printing is before February 5th.
Okay, good.
Yes.
So the 28th is our second meeting. That's our capital budget, right?
Fantastic.
Wait, hang on, team, because if we're gonna be presenting the whole town garage packet on the 28th. And we're gonna finalize our capital budget that same night?
No, we're only talking about capital budget right now.
No, we just said January 28th, town garage proposal,
No,
public
no, you
meeting.
got it.
Potential.
What?
You guys got in there.
Yeah, I
too
wanna-
quick. That was, you're trying to move it up from the
I think-
4th. I thought you said the 4th was your bond.
I wanna do them one at a
That's our-
time. The
They're
first,
different, they're two different things.
yeah,
Okay,
the first,
I'm
the
sorry.
most important is getting the budget done for the printing. That's what I was trying to figure out. So there, we're meeting the 14th and we're gonna meet the 28th.
Okay, with all due respect, it's really important that we meet our timeline for the town garage in order to meet the promises that we've made to our townspeople and warn it in time for town meeting. And when we went through the schedule today, the 28th is like the latest
Okay.
that we felt like we
That's-
could present it.
Okay.
So we just have to consider whether or not that's enough time in
So-
one meeting to do those two things.
Capital budget will take it usually takes no time at all.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be a big deal.
Can we do a special meeting, a different meeting for the town garage public meeting, a different night? Doesn't have to be on that Tuesday,
But
28th.
I think it was the only day that worked for everybody, was the
Okay,
28th.
well, that's-
Why not have it on the 28th?
Yeah, I think
Both of
that's,
I think
Could we
that
do
it's gonna
the,
be a pretty long meeting.
could
but-
we, so my suggestion would be
I'll
to
bring
do the
coffee.
capital budget on a different night. Since we already have this kind of set with like 4 or 5 other people
Yeah,
that are not Warren people,
Can we-
Wyman Lampier and.
Can we do the capital budget before that? Or
No, we
do
don't have
has to
enough,
be-
well,
Yeah,
yes, we could.
The earliest is the 22nd, I believe. That we could do with warning it. No, 23rd actually, warning it tomorrow.
So we could do it. Do it in the middle of the, no, not do it in the middle of the day. We're gonna do
Do
it when
6
people can
o'clock
come.
or something on that day, and then
we could do Thursday, the 23rd, a special meeting.
Which
Which
you just
w-
mean earlier? Sorry, are you just saying a different hour of the
Oh, I thought you said.
I'm
Tuesday or
not saying
Thursday.
anything, I'm saying,
Monday or
So-
Wednesdays are
so-
good. Tuesdays are
public meeting could be a
Oh.
little bit earlier than
Yeah.
our 6:30 meeting?
Yeah.
Maybe? How about that?
On the
On
28th.
the 28th, we just start the public meeting
Start at
earlier
6 for
and then
capital
we
budget
can roll
hearings.
into our regular meeting.
We can ask.
We can ask them. Can you make that meeting the 28th?
Hold on, why don't we just do the capital budget before? Capital budget's gonna take 5-10 minutes, max.
Okay, so what if we just started our meeting at 6? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Okay,
And do the capital budget first
Yeah.
and leave Wyman Lampier because that's them, that's VLCT and the mechanical, I don't know how many of them are gonna come. But I think Dan for sure.
VHB.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Dan will definitely be there, Steve.
Yeah,
I don't know if John will come,
yeah.
but there's at least,
Maybe.
there's at least 2 to 3 people from the South Burlington area that will be
Coming
coming.
for 6:30.
Mhm.
That's what we preliminary planned with them today. So you're proposing to start a little earlier. And it'll probably be at least a 3-hour meeting.
then we should start, everyone should start at 6.
so walk me through, there's 2 meetings that we're having for the town garage,
So.
back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, so we made a commitment when we disbanded the task force
Mhm.
to the concerned parties that we would provide an opportunity for them to see where we got, what our design was and what we were going to propose for a bond vote prior to finalizing that design and that bond vote ask.
So that's why you're having,
So-
staging 2 back-to-back meetings,
So we're
basically.
suggesting,
One for getting everyone to
weigh in,
dump their angst on you.
Give
Yep.
them their.
And then,
and then a separate meeting for us to say, hey, yeah, we want to move this to a bond.
and then,
So we don't have to have that conversation in front of 30 people.
okay,
And it gives a week for us to take into consideration things like maybe they had some amazing idea that we absolutely want to add. And then Wyman Lampier can add that, adjust the costs, adjust the design, and then we can vote on what we're actually
Okay.
sending.
I suggest
There
that
is-
we,
Supposed to have a cost estimate to us on the 21st. So Wyman Lampier on the total town garage.
Andy, what are you suggesting?
that whoever runs the meeting that week, whether, is it, why Lamford gonna run that meeting,
Yeah.
or how's that gonna work?
Yeah, I think Wyman Lampier and
Tell them that needed to run a tight ship.
Yeah,
are they gonna run the meeting though? I guess I sort of
That's what I'm
imagined,
asking.
yeah, well, maybe we should decide what that looks
we'll
like.
run the meeting unless someone,
I think
else
they're gonna
feel
be more
strongly.
comfortable with us running the meeting because they know the interested
Yeah.
parties. And we've been in meetings when there's been a takeover and no one's really.
Yeah,
spoken up.
I think we need to run the meeting. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I feel like you can just run it like a select board meeting.
Yeah.
That's sort of why we felt like it was appropriate to do it that night.
that's, okay. I like that idea, and I would propose that we just start at 6. We
Okay.
start at 6, it's the capital budget hearing and the,
Do we wanna invite Josie to that the new moderator to
I
that
think
meeting?
so.
Or do you feel like you can handle it?
oh,
I
yeah, I
don't
can
think
hit
you
it.
need to throw someone brand new into
Okay,
that now.
Alright,
Yeah.
But she will need to come in for a candidates forum, assuming we
Yeah.
have one, and a pre-town meeting day.
Okay.
Run
Yeah.
through.
Yeah.
And those may even be the same night, probably the 2 weeks before.
Yep.
And the second meeting in February,
Okay,
or the
I'll look
first,
at
or the
what-
first meeting,
when we
depending
did
on
it
how it
last year.
goes.
so we're good on those meetings?
So we don't have a meeting the week of the 21st.
Correct,
We are starting at 6 on the 28th.
correct.
We'll have a special meeting the week of the 4th.
Yep.
Of the 3rd, but Tuesday's not good for Kaylee.
Okay,
So we're not doing one on the 21st?
nothing on the 21st, unless, yeah.
Unless you
nothing.
want to, Camilla.
No,
So
Not that I.
She
So
missed
if there's-
us so much over
if
the
there's
holiday
things
break.
that we had to do on the 21st, we have to move them to the 14th.
yep,
I'll talk to Andrew. We were gonna have Andrew come in and talk about special projects and all that fun stuff.
So maybe he can do it next week.
I'll talk to him.
So how about that? And this special meeting, as far as the town garage is concerned, with us deciding to move it to a bond vote, I don't imagine that that will take a very long time. We will have already had the presentation, but maybe y'all have a whole bunch of input that you haven't shared.
I don't foresee it being an issue, but you never know.
Right, so that's the only thing that we're proposing meeting about sometime that week.
let's do the 5th,
The 5th is a what?
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
I think I can make that.
Instead of the
Or
4th?
just
Mhm.
check my busy schedule. Guess I'm here.
Okay,
What were you
we get
thinking,
on those
Rebecca?
dates and meetings?
14th,
only
28th,
thing-
and the 5th.
The only thing I will add is that one of the things Rebecca and I discussed yesterday that we were gonna talk about maybe on the 21st is the village traffic calming grant that we got, the striping and everything. And that ends in April. So if we intend to spend any more of that money, we need to decide that now. And it'll need to be,
How much money is left?
Could we
Quite a
maybe
lot.
talk about that on the 5th when we meet to discuss the town garage going to a bond vote? Or is that too late?
is that too late for our budget?
February 5th?
Yes,
Oh.
that's too late.
That's
Yep.
too
But
late.
if it's grant funds,
Still has to go on the budget.
No, no, it
No,
doesn't.
it doesn't.
It's gotta be spent somewhere.
It gets spent through the budget, but we don't have to budget for it if the funds exist
It's in the
somewhere.
general
Right.
fund at this point,
That's
right?
true.
Okay, yep,
So we don't have to
Right,
account for it in this year's
okay,
budget.
okay, all right, so as long as we don't have to do that.
It's, you know what
But
to do, we have to wait
plan
till,
it. Yeah, we have to
wait
plan
till
it.
April and get
Andrew.
it on the ground, if someone will paint it, if it's painting.
Well, we don't, I mean, what we all agreed was, let's start with painting. If we like it, then we may put in more permanent stuff. And that's what
Right.
we all have to agree on, is whether we want to go forward with
And so it has
something
to
more
be
permanent,
spent by the end of April.
yeah.
right? Is that what we,
I'm thinking that's a heavy lift.
that's
maybe,
why we have to
but
talk about it.
we could prepay
Yeah.
We could.
if we were committed to a
contract-
project.
if we
Or if
contract
it
with
were
somebody.
like, one of the things we had talked about using those funds for was potentially doing the light posts on that bridge that are like the ones down there. Those are something we could buy. If that's the kind of thing we're doing,
All right, so
or some kind
We'll
of,
talk
putting that
on
on
the
the 5th?
5th. Yep,
we could use that grant money for the more.
let's keep
permanent
moving because
crosswalk.
we have a executive session still. Dana and the cemetery commission, Michelle had proposed,
I don't think Dana even knows about it.
yeah, I didn't think so. That's why I want to talk about it.
So,
Michelle had proposed.
Me
Um,
handling the account.
yes,
she's resigning.
In the
from
interim.
cemetery. However, I have talked to Julie Burns. She is interested in being a part of the cemetery commission, as is Brent, because they only have 4 people right now, but with Michelle leaving, they have 3. It's a 5-seat committee. Julie Burns is interested in being on the cemetery commission and acting as their treasurer.
sold,
So, I don't
Sold data?
yeah.
say, I don't think we have to.
Oh, she really
wanted that.
That's like a bait and switch.
Oh, wrong of you guys. That's like such a resume enhancer too.
Yeah, right.
Thanks, guys, for the thinking of me.
It
Okay,
was all Michelle. She was like, Dana's gonna do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good with Dana and Dana may not want that.
Okay, so now we just need to hear from Julie and appoint her.
Right.
She'll run.
No, she's gonna run.
She'll
She's
run.
gonna
run.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay.
Michelle's
Yeah.
tied up everything for this year and we shouldn't have
And
to
Brent's
do
already
anything, hopefully.
let Julie know that she's gotta do the petition, and Brent also, like I said, wants to be on the cemetery commission.
okay,
I was gonna be on it if they needed another member, just because I feel like, well, Camilla and I talked that I think I could learn a lot about the cemetery, but Camilla thought the same thing and she hasn't learned that
Yeah.
much, so. It's not a good use
I've
of my
learned
time
that
right
it's
now.
not quite the job I
Yeah.
thought it was, but
Though I
yeah.
think Jeff would be very happy to hand this seat.
Yes, I'm sure he would.
It gets him out of my hair, so he's still on it.
okay. Any other business?
Anybody found any
Oh,
potential board members?
No,
we don't have any petitions, right? Any
Right.
For what?
board,
members.
select board members. Select-
Jeff Shock too, Sean came in last night and he said it's just not a good time for him. And I don't know how your conversation with Jay went,
Not this year.
not this year, okay.
I had a
Not
lengthy
everybody's in.
conversation with Michaela Waters.
Mhm.
She seemed interested. I haven't heard from her since.
Okay.
I told her to get in touch with Brent regarding petitions and deadlines,
Okay.
if she were interested.
I talked to Zach, he said maybe in 5 years.
Yeah,
So, yeah, we're
Sounds
good.
familiar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Zach said no when I asked her, because they're having another small person, right?
Yeah.
Are you guys working on it? Oh, little.
I have not had a
Working on-
conversation about it.
Working on
for
an
a
exit
while.
strategy?
yeah, that's done.
We still have a couple more weeks to put it in petition.
so I would say, I think Brent has to have petitions in. Can
27.
you guys appoint
By the
someone? If
27th.
we don't, if nobody runs?
Yes,
Okay,
The next board does.
okay,
yes.
so if all else fails,
We can,
we can appoint somebody, couple
Mhm.
somebodies.
You can't
No,
appoint people
no
unless
fun
they
on it.
wanna be appointed, it's really no different.
But you know what I'm saying,
Come here,
if they
you're gonna
decide
do this
last
job.
minute, and we don't have time to put them on the ballot, we can appoint them.
Yes,
It would be greatly appreciated if you guys could try and help us find some people to replace yourselves.
Or just stay.
Or stay. That's an alternative.
Well, Phil, point this.
In absentia.
You thought you could get away.
and they'll write you in.
Every time I think I get away, they
I
pull
thought
me
that's a good idea.
back
Let's just
in.
do a write-in campaign.
For whom? Oh,
Okay.
But
I
if
think
they-
I
Yeah.
have to get 5% of the electorate.
Next.
keep, well, we do, we have this is
Yeah.
legitimate.
No, I know.
We have an executive session, so there's no other business?
No.
Okay. So I move that we enter into executive session to discuss personnel and invite Rebecca.
Second?
All in favor?
all right.